For over 3 decades, Jerry Hammond, founder of Hammond International Properties, has mastered the art of turning vision into enduring value. While his canvas is luxury real estate, his true craft is leadership and cultivating excellence, trust, and culture that compound over decades. Jerry started the hard way, door to door, one conversation at a time. No shortcuts, no instant fame, just relentless curiosity and an obsession with improvement. From those humble beginnings, he built a global brand that stands for integrity, discretion, and world-class service, proving that greatness isn't built in a moment, but through mastery of the moments that matter most. Today, Jerry's story isn't just about real estate. It's about entrepreneurship done right, where reputation outweighs revenue, where relationships create resilience, and where leading with humility become the ultimate competitive edge. As a mentor, speaker, and thought leader, Jerry embodies the mindset of the rare founder who never stopped learning, never stopped evolving, and never forgot the power of treating people right. This is a conversation about building brands that last, leadership that lifts others, and success that serves something greater than yourself. And before we start the episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth and the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Sanjay, a graduate of Deep Wealth Mastery, and he says, the investment I made in the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it's a rounding error compared to the value created today and the future value I'll receive. Or how about William, who says, and I love this, a company that's attractive to sell is also a great one to own. The Deep Wealth Mastery Program gives me the best of both worlds. Now, speaking of growth and adding value, check out what Leon says. He says that the Deep Wealth Mastery Program changed how and who we hire. We've now begun to hire talent today that we never would have hired if it weren't for the program. The talent we're hiring today is helping both increase our growth and profits and our future enterprise value. Man, I love that kind of feedback because it's that kind of feedback that's what gets me out of bed every day. Deep Wealth Mastery System, it's the only system based on a 9-figure deal. That was my deal. And as you know, I said no to a 7-figure offer, created a system that we now call Deep Wealth Mastery. And that's what helped myself and my business partners welcome from a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure deal. So if you're interested in growing your profits, preparing for a future liquidity event, whether that's 2 years away or 22 years away, and if you want to optimize your post-exit life, Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. Please email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. We'll send you all the information about Deep Wealth Mastery, otherwise known as the Scale for Ultimate Sales System. That's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you who are looking to create market disruptions. Whether you're a startup, whether you've been in business for 3 or 4 decades, whether you're manufacturing, whether you're high-tech, SaaS, low-tech, whatever the case may be, come in and network with other business owners, with other businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. Again, that's a 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. It has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Deep Wealth Nation, welcome to another episode of the Deep Wealth Podcast. Deep Wealth Nation, I have a confession to make. We have a very special guest in the house of Deep Wealth, but not just any guest. This is one of my oldest childhood friends. We go way back. We were dreaming of success. Now, you heard the official introduction, but I got to tell you, and we're speaking about this offline, you could have dropped Jerry into any industry and the guy would have come out successful. This is Mr. Success. And although we'll talk about real estate and luxury and all those other kinds of things, I want you to listen to his strategies of what he's done to get that success in a very competitive industry. But I'm going to put a plug in it right there. Jerry, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. An absolute pleasure to have you with us. There's always a story behind the story. So my old friend, what's your story? Take me back to the beginning. What got you from where you were to where you are today?
Jeff, it's a pleasure being here, and thanks for listening, and thanks for being here and asking all the wonderful questions that we'll go through on this podcast. The thing that got me to today is just really a lot of hunger and a lot of drive. And you and I both know when we were younger, we had that hunger and we had that drive. We had that desire, that inner deep desire to just take on things and do things that were not typical. If you start off with that optimism in life and you start off with searching for all the right things, I think life just gives it to you in various ways.
And you know, what's interesting about that, as you're talking about this, I'm going back and we were into the self-improvement before it was a thing, before you had all these people that were doing that. And I know I was certainly criticized with that. You were, Jerry, your head is in the clouds and get back down to earth. How did your positive attitude help you specifically when you got into this very competitive industry, otherwise known as real estate? You're a young kid at the time and you said, hey, I'm going to make a name for myself. I'm going to really make a difference out there. And you did. How did that attitude, that mindset help you?
Yeah, and it was an interesting time. So at the time, I was either going to stick it out in real estate and go along that path and see where that led to, or I was going to go into law school and decided real estate was going to be the way to go. I had a good friend who was in law school. I saw the way he was working. They were working pretty crazy hours. And I just thought to myself, if I'm going to do something, I need to be more entrepreneurial in spirit, and I need to do something for myself for the long term. And so real estate was that path. And I took the courses, read the books constantly, and of course, here we are today.
And when you look at that, is there any one, call it a strategy, a ritual, best practice that really helped get you through the tough times? And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking of a listener in Deep Wealth Nation who's already on the entrepreneurial spirit. Times have changed so much. We've got AI and we've got social media and all this connectivity that in so many ways, it's like starting at the beginning for so many entrepreneurs. Any tips of advice early on? And we'll get to some more, but anything looking back in the early days that got you through some of the more challenging times?
I think that the challenges is exactly what makes us. It's that inner drive. And when you're searching for answers and searching for ways to get out of situations and problem solving, that's what gets you out of the quandary that you might be dealing with at the time. And so you've got to have a positive mindset all the time. Stay on, whether it's morning, night, or day, and find inspiration in everything around you. The people, whether you meet certain people, I've been fortunate enough where I've been very fortunate in running into the right people and having people that have surrounded me over the years that they've been leading my path. They brought me inspiration. I saw how successful they were, and through their wonderful success in life, I followed along that path and said, why not me?
And circling back to something you said earlier when you first started going, I wasn't sure, was I going to go down this path? Was I going to go down another path? But you did stuck through it and you said, okay, luxury real estate, here I come. You're now one of the top guys in the marketplace and you're a shaker and a mover and doing all these incredible things. When you look back at that though, I remember, and we would talk about this, you had your doubts. Am I the right person? Should I be doing this? What got you through that?
I guess when I was young, what was motivating for me was to make a lot of money. That's just the truth. And so making a lot of money was an avenue that I had to find something that could channel me to make money. And at that time, I said to myself, I want to create my own path. I want to make as much as I want to make, work when I want to work, create an entrepreneurial type spirit in terms of what I do. And of course, that would just lead me to the path. Every day, you got to get up early. You got to speak with optimism. You've got to have faith in yourself and what you're doing, and it'll get you through all the hard times.
And as you're talking about that, you're humble. You're also hungry. And how do you hold on to both? Because I know for myself, I started down that path, but then my ego gets in the way, and sometimes I lose that, and I don't become the nicest person, or I make these huge mistakes. You've always been consistent, humble and hungry. What keeps you hanging on to both?
Humble and hungry are very interesting traits, and you certainly have to have them throughout your entire life. I had a wonderful leader in my life, my late father-in-law, who was always humble and hungry, and he built one of the most incredible organizations, and they're in the construction business. And I learned by him because he could talk to anybody, and he could have a conversation with whether somebody was just cleaning up the floors, the construction workers, or somebody in the executive level. I admired that a lot, and that open line of communication with anybody out there was very humbling to see and to actually experience. And when I saw him in action, that's what really said to me to believe you've got to now inspire people. You have a responsibility to inspire others. And if you have a leadership position, you have a responsibility to make sure that they're guided in the right way. And so those little traits came out over time. And then that's what really humbled me. And to this day, it doesn't matter what you're worth or how much money you have. I always say we're not an island. It's independence versus interdependence. And I think most of us have to live with interdependence. When you think that you can be independent and success brings you all the wonderful things that it does, you don't necessarily do it alone. You do it with a lot of other people that are surrounding you and that can help you along your path. So staying humble is a key takeaway to this conversation.
And from staying humble, staying hungry, I know one thing about you, you really sum it up nicely, the golden rule. That's really you. That's your philosophy.
Right.
How do you keep on track with that? Have you ever felt tempted as you had more success to say, oh, you know what, that's all fine and good, but hey, I make the rules now. I'm just going to do it because I can. How do you keep that balance? Because as long as I've known you, you've never done that. You've always stayed with the golden rule. And I believe that would be a huge part of the success that you've been able to attract and maintain and do all those wonderful things with that. But what's your secret sauce with sticking to the golden rule?
I read about the golden rule. I heard it from Izzy Sharp. And Izzy Sharp, who owns and runs the Four Seasons, who was a founder of the Four Seasons, he expressed this golden rule in his organization, and he built the company on the golden rule. And I thought, what a great attribute to bring in our organization, because we have a multi-diverse culture here. There's a lot of languages, there's a lot of different types of people. And I just felt in order to create the culture within the organization, we have to have a founding trait that brings us all together. And the golden rule it's a statement on acceptance, on understanding each other, and maybe coming from the same place.
And it's a whole other conversation. It could be an entire series, never mind an episode, because I feel society's gotten away from the golden rule. And there may be some people who are hearing us talk who are saying, golden rule, what's the golden rule? So for someone in the Deep Wealth Nation, the golden rule, at least what it means to you, what is the golden rule? How would you explain that to someone?
It's respecting all diversity, male, female, where you're from, what your beliefs are, your religious backgrounds. I truly believe that at the end of the day, we were all created by one creator and that we're sharing along this journey. And then it's our test here on earth just to make sure that we understand each other. We can talk to one another. We can somehow help each other with each other's problems. And that's just the essence of what I personally believe. And we've adapted that trait.
And so from the golden rule, in your industry, it's very easy and actually challenging to stay local and not go beyond that. And for so many entrepreneurs, they start in one area and they don't, for whatever reason, they're not able to get beyond that. They're not able to expand, go into other bigger markets. That's not the case for you. So you started locally. You have a global reputation out there, global connections. I know offline you and I have talked over the years, hey, Jeffrey, I got this investor group coming in, or that other investor group, or this person in this country contacted me. So how did you take what's typically local and take that to a global recognition, a global level?
Interesting question. So I'd have to say that it all starts with real estate and the markets. It's sort of like, how do you control the bull? What can you take control of and what can you not take control of? Well, we can't control the economy. We can't control interest rates. What can we control? We can control the way we behave in society, and then we can control what we're perceived as in society. So if our brand meets our expectations and our values, and people enter into our journey and join the organization based on our values internally, that takes us a long way. The vision has always been quite large. And as you said earlier, I've always dreamt, always had big ambition, always had wonderful, lofty goals. And so based on that strategy, your vision has to be much larger than who you are. Now, if you embrace it and you're true to that vision, you'll bring along a lot of people, and other people will be attracted to who you are and what you do, and they'll follow along the same philosophy.
And with that in mind, going back to something that you said, and I'm right there with you, no one person is an island unto him or herself. And any success that's there, it really comes from the team. And so when you look at the team, for me, it starts with the leader and then it goes into the culture of the company. And for culture of the company, in fact, that's so important in our 9-step roadmap, step 2 X factors. Culture is one of our foundational X factors because all the money in the world that your competition may have, they cannot copy. Culture is like a fingerprint. It's unique to the company, just like a fingerprint is unique to you or unique to me. So when it comes to your organization, which is now well beyond just Jerry doing his thing, it's now Jerry and team, and the team's expanded quite a bit. So 2-part question for you. The vision that you have, how do you make sure that your team really embodies that vision? And then how do you take that vision and embed it into the culture so that this is just what we do. This is our ritual. This is who we are and what we're all about.
So obviously we've adapted the golden rule, and that really helps with the positioning of who we are and what we do and the respect that we provide each other here in the organization. And the other thing that I do is every morning I text them with a positive saying or a thought or an idea or something of value so they can start providing themselves with a great day and they can lead that day into success. And what we do is we've also created a master class here in the organization where I've written the master class, and it's an in-depth look as to why we do what we do, how we do what we do, to give them the proper roadmap and to make sure that they fall in line with the expectations of the organization. And that's done daily. We have our weekly meetings where it's an open forum meeting. Other real estate organizations are not so candid about how they share information. We're totally transparent here. We share the ideas. The corporation invests along with the agents. It's more like a partnership than it is having them go out on their own and trying to create success on their own. So we've changed the dynamics of the business strategy, and that's really helped with enabling people to succeed in the industry.
And speaking of enabling people to succeed, this is very personal for you. My goodness, your name is in the company name. So everyone out there, ultimately, it reflects back on you. And when you're looking for new team members, I know myself as an entrepreneur, some of my biggest failures, quite openly, I hired wrong, or I didn't hire the right person that I should have.
Right.
And I hired the wrong person and found out after the fact. When it comes to hiring, what are you looking for that has you do one of two things? Has you run as fast as you can in the other direction? Hey, this is a huge red flag. I'm not going there. This person, absolutely, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Let's do it. Let's bring them on board. What would you share with us?
Yeah, well, I'd share that we work with a lot of women here in the organization because we feel women have more empathy, they show more compassion, and they can show what I defined as emotional engagement. So women are a big part of our organization and how they've been a key factor in society and being leaders within themselves and wanting to grow. That's one thing. The second thing is if somebody comes in and they've got a big ego, that's already a red flag. I have no interest in really having them come in. We want people to be humble that are coming here. They want to learn, they want to expand, they want to ride on the coattails of our success and really utilize the services that we offer and all the tools that we provide. And the other thing is sometimes I just hire on attitude. It's strictly attitude. If somebody comes in here and I've hired on attitude and they've been some of our best examples in the organization and they've really excelled. And based on that attitude, if they've got a great smile and a charming personality and they can communicate effectively and their intellect is quite high, you can sense that, you can feel that when you're doing your initial interview. You give them maybe a first and second chance during an interview. And I'll tell you something, those are some of the best people that we've hired, even without any previous experience. But they've got this inner drive and want to grow and they see our success and they want to ride on that success.
Reminds me of that saying, hire on personality, train on skills, and not the other way around.
Right.
And let's go along that track here. I'm really interested. So you bring somebody on board and effectively you are the mentor for them. Even if they've been in the industry or they're brand new in the industry, it doesn't really matter. You're mentoring them. What would be one of the hardest lessons that someone, they're new on board, they're new with the team, that they have to grasp about you, Jerry, your organization, and specifically in the luxury vertical?
So that's very interesting. So when somebody comes in, they can see the success. When they walk into our office space, they can see all the wonderful quotes around the office space, all the wonderful homes that we've represented and sold, some of the most expensive properties. So everything is done in a very orderly way. It's done with intention, of course. And in terms of how we display and show product is exceptional. And we're ahead of any of our competitors in terms of how we do that. So that system's already in place. Now, when we get somebody in, there's a lot of other things as realtors that they have to sort of understand. So getting a real estate license is not the be-all end-all to succeeding in real estate, unfortunately. And there's over 70,000 agents in our marketplace. 20,000 left the industry last year because they don't have the right tools and they're not getting the right guidance. They're not having the right leadership in place. And we've been very fortunate here where we coddle our agents, but at the same time, we provide them with their own inspiration and we want them to grow from within. So if they have the inner drive and the desire to grow, we allow that. We don't suppress that in any way. We allow that the person to come out with their own talents, their own magic, their own little, I guess, finesse in the marketplace so they can become their own personality. Because that's how I grew my career. I always knew that it was me that was facing the marketplace. And if the marketplace saw value in what I was doing, then the marketplace marketplace would embrace it and take it on. And of course, you'd succeed and you get referrals and you get more business because of that. And so that's what we do internally here. So all I did was take my systems that I've been using. In 2007, I helped over 1,000 families move. In 2011, I was top 25 in the world out of over 100,000 agents with Remax globally. And so I just took those systems and I said, now I've got a responsibility to give back to the industry that was so good to me, and I can give back to the people who want to join us on this journey.
Yeah, some amazing accomplishments, much to be proud of with that. Let's go back to something that you said earlier, and it falls under the category of mindset. Earlier you said, yeah, Jeffrey, I will start the day off. I will text the team members with a positive quote or a positive thought. And I know there's some listeners on here in Deep Wealth Nation that are saying, yeah, Jeffrey, Jerry, whatever. That positive mindset doesn't pay the bills, doesn't show up on a profit and loss statement. It's nothing. You're wasting your time. And I know both of us would respond to that. Actually, it's everything. Success is everything. It starts with the mindset, our inner thoughts. That's what creates our outer world. But why for you and the mindset and the quotes, how's that making a difference with the team? Because let's face it, you're busy. You could be doing a zillion other things. The time that you're taking to send each member a positive quote or a reinforcement to uplift their day, aside from being an incredible act of kindness and goodwill, why are you doing that?
We're all familiar with the success leaves clues quote, and success does leave clues. And I always say every day that if you find success in whatever you're doing, then put it out there and inspire others. And if you put it out there in goodwill, just like, a blessing, or just you want somebody to do well over their lifetime, a sincere form of gratitude towards others, I think they'll respect that. So what I do, I get up at typically 5:30 every morning. At 7 a.m., I'm sending out a text, and this is up until Saturday. So 6 days a week, they get a text from me, and I'll find a quote of the day that'll just inspire them and get them thinking. And I can see it come through in them, because when I'm talking to them during the day, or when I see them in the office, I can see that their whole attitude is very different and their goal setting is very different. So it seems to be working. When you inspire others, they find the inspiration within themselves. What I do on Saturdays is send out a book of the week. And every week I'm sending out a new book, and we have a book summary that we cover in our Monday morning meetings that they look up to. And we talk about the book summary and what that book has to offer and what it entails. And these are all life's lessons. The more I think about it, the more I get involved with the books and the ideas, and the more you inspire others, it rubs off on them. It's amazing what that does. I've heard many people, there's a person here that came from the corporate world, and they were sitting behind the desk and they've been working 9 to 5 a day, and that was their growth. They left the organization, came to our organization with full faith, because I said we only hire full-time people. They're doing extremely well. They went back to visit some of the people in their corporate world when they were invited back to a corporate party, and they realized that those people are the same. They haven't changed. In fact, their growth hasn't grown at all. So what that tells me is people want to grow if they have that inside of them. People want to be inspired. People want to dream. People want to know that there's no limits on their particular life and that suppression doesn't exist. And I think when you allow that to come through in people, they spread their wings. They'll perform for you if you believe in others and they believe in you. People will reward you just as you rewarded them. And sometimes all it is a thought. Sometimes all it is a quote. Sometimes it's just a positive message. Or sometimes it's just a smile, or the way you say something to somebody else. And I think that in itself creates success in people. Forget about all the numbers, because you know what? I've never been focused on just the numbers. I've always been focused on attitude and treating people well, our golden rule. And I think that really resonates in people, and they find inspiration in it, and they'll grow within themselves to find success and whatever that means for them personally.
And as you're talking about that, so much of what you're saying really resonates. And in fact, I'm going to go back to the 9-step roadmap. We talk all about this in our 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery program. We've been talking about step 5, winning mindset. I spoke earlier about step 2, X factors, and specifically culture. And in my books, the difference between a leader and a leader understands just because I'm their quote unquote boss doesn't mean that they have to respect me. They can follow me because they have to, or they can follow me because they want to, because they choose to. And they're following you because they choose to, whether it's the kindness, whether it's the motivation, whether it's showing them, hey, there is a better and bright and prosperous tomorrow for you. Here's some strategies that I'm going to share with you. They've worked for me. They can work for you. Go out and do that. And it goes right back into the culture to make all the difference and have us really stand out. Let's go back to something else earlier that you said. And again, you're being very humble, very modest. You had a terrific mentor, your father-in-law, who wasn't just a father-in-law, a titan in the business. He wrote some
Yeah.
of the rules when it came to construction, specifically in condominiums and how things were done. And you very earnestly look to that as, okay, this is going to be a mentor for me, and I'm going to learn, I'm going to come in with an open mind, and I'm really going to put myself out there. Talk to us about mentorship and what you learned along the way and how that made the difference for you. And as I'm asking this, we're so connected today with technology, yet we're so alone. And it never ceases to amaze me how, as entrepreneurs, we're not reaching out to people, successful people. Hey, he did this for you. Can you give me a few tips for me? And we develop a business relationship, a mentor type of relationship where we're learning from the best of the best. So walk us through that.
So this is a constant question that my father-in-law would always ask. Are you a leader or are you a follower? And they would just end the sentence. And you had to give that much thought. And I think based on that one statement alone, you made a decision as to what you were going to be. Were you going to be the follower or were you going to be the leader? And I think he instilled that in his family, in the people that surrounded him, and in the people that he wanted to inspire. So that was a very valid question that he kept asking over and over, just so you could set your mind straight and perform as a leader. As a leader, you have a responsibility, and this is what I learned from him. Being a leader doesn't mean that everybody has to respect you, as you said. It doesn't mean that you have to be the boss and you have to be intimidating to others. In fact, you have to be the exact opposite. You got to be very humble, as we spoke about, and you've got to be able to lead with intention. And of course, inspire others to help that leadership quality come out in themselves. My entire life, I've tried to surround myself with really incredible people, my father-in-law just being one of them, or the books that I read, or some of the other people that I've had the good fortune of meeting along my journey. And when I met them, I kind of find out who they really were. And they were people just like me and you, and they weren't any different. But the success, the drive, the intention of doing extremely well, especially being very proficient at what they were doing, and of course, the lofty goals that they created for themselves were just astronomical and incredible. And of course, that became a leading indicator as to if they can do it, well, so can I. Now, just find out the qualities of their behavior, find out the qualities of their personalities, take those wonderful attributes, adapt them, teach them to others, share them with others, and you'll find that same path.
What's interesting, going back to what you said earlier, success leaves clues. You have to know where to look, what to ask, and where to look. Often it's in the people around us who have already been down this path. They've had a head start. They're successful in what they do, and they can help us along the way and really accelerate that. So we've spoken, Jerry, we've spoken about mind culture, having mentors, and that all lays a terrific foundation of why you're you, why you've been able to attract the success you have. So now let's take it to the luxury real estate market. It was around long before you came in. And one could have easily said before you started, well, yeah, it's been around for ages. Why do that? There's nothing new that you're going to bring. Yet everything you did was new, and you innovated and you changed things up and you put a different positive spin on things that hadn't been done before, hadn't been thought of before. So what would you want us to know in luxury real estate? And Deep Wealth Nation, as I'm asking this, I don't want you saying, I'm not in luxury real estate, I'm going to tune out of this. It doesn't matter what you're in. You could be making widgets. Let's listen to what Jerry has to say of how he went into a fairly, I'm going to call it generic industry, but made it highly customized, very personalized to get the kind of success that you got. So what would be some lessons that you can share with us from luxury real estate that we can take back into our own businesses, our different industries that we're in, similar kinds of challenges?
Sure. Well, my aha moment was I had to understand what my time was worth. So I could either value time or money. And you trade time for money and money for time all the time. And so in our business, we're in a commission-based industry. So in other words, if you want to make more money or have more profits, you've got to now sell a higher end product. And what happened in the Toronto area was the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton, and the Shangri-La, along with what was then the Trump building and now called the St. Regis, were just being built here in Toronto. They just had launched their new projects. And that was my aha moment because I felt, hey, they've done their due diligence in terms of the marketplace. Toronto's turning into an international city. These are global brands. What can we do to support that? So nobody was doing anything of what we're doing here. So I had to search to find a group. So I finally did, the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing. I attended one of their conferences, which was hosted in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and that was wonderful. And then Coral Gables. I then became a speaker because I was the only Canadian that attended these conferences. And I learned a lot from others that are spearheading on the luxury side. And so we took some of those ideas, we brought them into the market, we adapted them. And of course, we had to do other things to incorporate into the organization to make it better. And we looked at the hospitality business and we looked at who serves the best. Well, we looked at some of the wonderful hotels out there, all 5-star, that are serving at the highest level. We brought some of those attributes into the organization so we could understand how to serve the client best. And then all those ideas formulate, translate into marketing, translate into branding, understanding who we are as an organization. And then that all comes out to the marketplace. Because I always say, if you're going to succeed in the market, the first one that's going to create that success is the consumer. It's not another agent. It's not people that are going to criticize you. It's not the ones that are going to, all the naysayers out there, because they do exist. It's going to be the consumer. So when we demonstrated our skill set to the consumer and we started deciding on who we were and where we were going, they were the first test. And so a lot of people embraced what we were doing, liked the idea, felt that we were providing great marketing behind what we were doing. We were representing the product properly and enabling ourselves to get a higher than typical price for homeowners in our marketplace. And that was really one of the defining moments where we started to change, adapt all these new rules, and it took us off into new direction. So we're into international markets. We do a lot of international business with key marketplaces around the world. So all of these ideas, when we start looking at it on a larger scale, and we just don't micro focus on what we're doing, like a typical realtor doing the typical routine things that they do every day, I think that's what broadens your horizons and brings on new opportunities. I always wanted to compete with the largest industry players. And I asked myself, who are they? I identified them. And based on identifying what they were doing, we brought a lot of their ideas into the organization to create what we've created here at Hammond International Properties.
And Depot Nation, I hope you're listening to that, because what we just heard from Jerry, how he looked worldwide, what are the best practices that are making a difference? And it doesn't matter if it was Jerry at the time in your particular industry, just what's working out there, what really resonates with you. You took other people's best practices, other industries' best practices, you made it a little bit better, you customized it, you brought it into your organization, into what you're doing. It made all the difference. And here at Deep Wealth, we do something very similar with the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. We take best practices. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, a best practice is for a reason. And so Deep Wealth Nation, are you doing that? Are you looking outside of your industry to find out, hey, this is really working here? Maybe I can make it work in my industry, in my company. If you're not doing it, there's a whole new world of opportunities that are there for you. And I just love how you're being so open. And I have a bit of an unfair advantage here, Jerry, for the Deep Wealth Nation. Because we've been friends, because we grew up together, I would remember conversations. Hey, yeah, Jeffrey, I'm going to this luxury conference over here. I'm jet setting over there. And there's another one over there. And you would just go to these different conferences, nothing to do per se with luxury real estate, but everything to do with luxury real estate. And oftentimes you would say, hey, this strategy here, let me be the first one to bring it back into my marketplace. But you didn't just copy it, you copied it, and this is the difference, and you made it better. And it's a great example. You don't have to invent something. You can take something that's already there, adapt it, and just make it slightly better. It doesn't have to be 500% better. It can be 5% better. And that's all you need to make the difference, to make you unique, have you stand out, and to really pay it forward and make that difference out there. Thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's fantastic, Jeff. Thanks for putting all that together, because that's the truth. The truth is, you're absolutely right. Success leaves clues, as we've said before. All the ideas exist out in the marketplace. There are companies that are spearheading ideas out there that if you emulate them in certain ways, and you're right about increasing what they're doing or just making it better in some way or another, or adapting best practices from other organizations that are really excelling in their own fields, you can adapt those practices in your own. And of course, it's not about copying. It's not about, but you're taking the best ideas. Steve Jobs was famous for that. He took some of the best ideas from some of his people that he worked for or his competitors or people that he wanted to compete against, and he just made them better. And there's so many ways that you can do that. And whether it's a course or whether it's a book or whether you got to fly somewhere. I go to New York once a year to a luxury conference. It's by invitation only. There's 110 of us there. They're the top executives from all the luxury brands. We usually meet at the Swiss Bank building, and the ideas that come out of that room are just incredible. So now how to service that clientele? What are they looking for? What's the next generation looking for in terms of the world of luxury? What does that look like? So all of these ideas are out there. You just got to search for them. You've got to make sure that you're really on track to going out of your way to search for the ideas. And the ideas will come forth and you'll be able to adapt them into your organization.
And Jerry, as you're talking about that, what's also interesting, it's following, you and I have a very similar philosophy of in the success of today. So in today's success lies the seeds of failure. And when you first listen to that, well, what do you mean? I'm successful today. Why would I have failure tomorrow? It's exactly because we're successful today that we can become lazy or complacent. And here you are. Right. Yeah, Jeffrey, I left the business. I spent time away from the family. I'm not in my usual surroundings. I'm taking time out of my schedule. I'm investing time out of my schedule to learn, to meet new people, to see what's going on. And Deep Wealth Nation, are you doing that? Or is it the same blank, different day? And yeah, we all have the same blank, different day, but we need to change that up and get ourselves out of the environment and really see what's working, what's not working. And Deep Wealth Nation, if you think that Jerry's climb to success was just a straight line, that he started over here and ended up to the right, and it was a straight line, you'd be mistaken. And there was lots of setbacks, lots of challenges. When it comes to so-called failures, and you and I, we don't call them failures. I know we call a failure a learning opportunity. As long as you don't make the same mistake twice, it's not a failure. What would you tell Deep Wealth Nation for these failures, for some of the challenges or so-called setbacks that came up for you along the way? How did you deal with that? How did you look at that?
So I have a lot of faith, Jeff, and I say God doesn't make mistakes. God creates perfection in all of us. We just have to find it in ourselves to what that definition is. If you look at every human being out there, if you look at our noses, our hair, our ears, and we are perfection in our creation. And I think you have to find solitude in that and believe in that, because that's the miracle. And nobody's able to build another individual, a human being. So that in itself is an incredible thing right there. And then you have to find gratitude in your everyday. So whether it be the air that you're breathing, the flower that's out there, the colors of the trees that are this time of year are fantastic. You know, it's all those little things that you've got to look around. And as you said, step out of your area, go and travel, go and look around the world, go and see what the world has to offer, because that'll open up your eyes, that'll open up opportunity, and you'll learn through culture, through history, you know, through architecture, and that'll change your mind. When you get back, you'll get motivated about life again, because that's what the inspiration is. We're not one individual, and we're so small in the scheme of things that we just have to be able to realize that and see it for what it is. And that'll keep you humble, because there's so much around us. There's no reason that your ego blocks your vision. That in itself is failure, I'd have to say.
And let's circle back to something that you've said a number of times during our conversation together. And Deep Wealth Nation, with what I'm about to say, I don't want you to proverbially hang up the phone. Jerry, you're a man of faith. I'm a man of faith. We're men of God. And Deep Wealth Nation, whether it's God or the universe or whatever you'd like to call it, be open. Stay with us here. I want to talk about faith in God for you for just a moment. How has that played a role for you? And as I say this, as we record this, society has changed so much that even the mere mention of God, people get angry, and that's got nothing to do with business or conversation or why you even bringing it up. And I say it has everything to do with business and the conversation, and that's why we are bringing it up. So Deep Wealth Nation, have an open mind and listen. God, universe, something else. How has that played a role for you? What's been the common theme here with your faith and with God in your life? What's it been like for you?
Well, years ago, I used to listen to a speaker called Robert Schuller, and he was a preacher at the Crystal Cathedral down in California. And I listened to him. And somebody said, well, why would you listen to him? You're going to get caught up. You're going to give them donations, and that's not what it's all about. And I held back from doing that. But I liked the word. I liked the inspiration that he provided with people. And that was one of the aha moments, if you want to call it that. Real faith. I bought a Bible when I was young. And the other thing that I've done is during my travels around the world, we always just go to the local church churches just to see the architecture. And the theme seems to be the same over and over. And whether, the church was once a synagogue or the church was once a place of worship for the Muslims, because historically they changed, you start to realize that who's at fault here? It's really human beings. When at the end of the day, we're all looking for the same spiritual following. We're all looking for goodness. Follow the golden rule, and you'll understand that people, in essence, want the same thing. They just want peace and success and for you to enjoy your life, the simplicity of life, of what life has to offer. The business aspect, if you're fortunate enough to gravitate towards something that you're passionate about, and that'll be your life's story and something you can give back with over a legacy, you found your passion. But I think that if you have faith, and if you have faith in what you're doing, you'll be able to adapt that into your daily practice, and others will notice it and see it. I can honestly tell you that I hear a lot of wonderful comments, wonderful compliments, my delivery, my conversations with people take note. They can see the difference. And people can see who you are. That comes through. Whether you speak or whether you don't speak, it comes through in your personality and just who you are, how you walk in a room, whether you're smiling or not, just your simple greeting. And that's because of the faith that I have, and I can deliver that daily in my daily interactions with people.
So well said. And from the faith that you have, and it's put you on this mission. Let's go back to something that you said earlier. You said, when I was growing up, I wanted to make a lot of money. And brother, I was right there with you. I wanted to make a lot of money. In fact, Deep Wealth Nation offline, Jerry and I were joking about, we were both in high school together and there weren't cell phones. It was a pay phone. And we thought we were these big shots and phoning the stockbroker of buy this, buy that. No idea what we were doing. Lost our shirt, by the way. Don't do that. And it was really a seminal moment for both of us, because at one point it flipped for you of, it's not just about the money. Yeah, sure, I'll have the money as part of the success, but I'm going to be helping people first and foremost. And very embarrassingly, and Jerry, you know the story. I don't know if I've shared it on the podcast before, maybe once, not much more than that. When I first started going along that path, I said, hey, I want to be rich. Let me just become a dentist. Did I love dentistry? No, but I said, hey, dentists, they do well. Maybe I can do well. Worst year of my life when I started doing that, and it was miserable. And so for you, of changing from, yeah, it's not just about the money. It's about helping people, making a difference. If I can help enough people get what they want, eventually, over time, I'll be able to get what I want. And you shared how your faith and your attitude and your mindset really made a difference for that. But for someone in the Deep Wealth Nation, Jerry, who's listening to us talk, and they're saying, it's really all about the money for me and forget everything else, what would you have them reconsider with that particular mindset?
I just think it's okay. So you can make a lot of money and still have your faith, and one thing has nothing to do with the other, and you succeed. And of course, if you provide value to the marketplace, is going to reward you beyond your dreams. But I think what you have to be really good at is your art. So whatever that may be. So whether it be a business, whether you're a painter, whether you're a skilled craftsman, and if you're really a skilled individual and your craft and your skill is highly respected out in the marketplace, it'll be rewarded. And I think that you have to find that it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter whether you're a dentist, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, or whether you're a real estate representative. At the end of the day, you're exactly right, Jeffrey. You're serving people. Because if you're serving people and you understand the definition of serving, you'll understand that's doing well at the highest level. And whether you're serving your peers, you're serving your guests, or just entertaining at home with family and friends, you're always serving. And that's the most humbling thing. And I think you always have to take that position. That's what's going to create greatness in who you are and what people see and how you're defined in life.
Some great takeaways for us. And let me ask you this, Jerry, before we go into wrap-up mode. Is there a question I haven't yet asked, or even a theme or a topic, a message we haven't covered that you want to share with Deep Wealth Nation before we head into wrap-up mode?
Yeah, I think I'd like to share this. I'll just touch on the idea about why I led into the path of luxury. So luxury to me wasn't just about money. It was about perfection. It was about, how do you serve the customer at the highest level? How do you provide a service at the highest level? What's the quality of work that goes in behind it? And then how many people you can share that journey with, and they can also benefit from the rewards of being in the real estate industry. Because in my observation, real estate is still one of the biggest wheels in the economy, not just locally, but internationally and globally. And so it benefits a lot of people. Everybody needs shelter. We just do it at a very high level and we make it look wonderful. But the people that we're serving have also worked extremely hard in their own personal lives. They've done extremely well. They've excelled. Their life is quite diverse. Their life has fast tracked. So we have to respect that. We have to respect who we're doing business with. And ultimately, we're selling luxury real estate. But what we're really doing is just serving at the highest level, making sure that we can stand out from our competitors and just doing it better than others. And that's essentially what we've developed here at Hammond International Properties.
And Deep Health Nation, as you heard Jerry share that powerful narrative, it's the why behind what he does. Did you get inspired? I'm not even in the market for luxury real estate, but wow, maybe I want to be in the market, Jerry, and have you and the team lead the way because of it. This is Jerry's calling. What's your calling, Deep Health Nation? Can you even say something like that? If not, why not take a step back, hear what Jerry had to say, take some of that, make it your own, because that's what makes all the difference. And actually, as you share that, it's the perfect segue into the wrap-up mode. And it's a tradition here on the Deep Health Podcast. It's really my privilege and my honor where every guest, I ask the same question. It's a fun question. Let me set this up for you. When you think of the movie Back to the Future, you have that magical DeLorean car that will take you to any point in time. So Jerry, imagine it's tomorrow morning, and this is the fun part. You look outside your window, not only is the DeLorean car curbside, the door is open and is waiting for you to hop on in, which you do. You're now going to go back to any point in your life. Jerry, as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time it would be, what would you tell your younger self in terms of life lessons or life wisdom? Or, hey, Jerry, do this, but don't do that. What would you be saying to yourself?
Well, first of all, I think I'd want to take myself into the future. Definitely. That's already a start. But I think with all the things that I've learned in between, because, it's all those learning experiences that you learn in between where you can take them and adapt them and, of course, grow by them. And so if I got into the DeLorean and where was I headed, I think I'd still want to travel the world because the world is an incredible place and you'll be able to see the world just the way it's created and understand what goes on behind it. And, of course, into the future, well, of course, if I had all the knowledge and I could fast track it and I could bring it all together, just like AI is bringing that to the world at this moment in time, making us all smarter and making us understand and communicate effectively with each other and bringing us into a different dimension because it's just brilliant. It's genius. And we've adapted it here in our practice. I think those are the fundamental things that I would have to say I needed to get to where I wanted to go. But the great thing is that without the obstacles, without the problems, without everything that you have to learn along the way, you don't get to become who you are. And that's really magical within itself. And so whether it be the problems or the obstacles, or of course, all the tribulations that you'll have to go with on your path, that's your life's meaning. That's the purity of life. I mean, deep down inside, if we find what's good in our heart, and we follow along that path, you'll succeed, you'll excel, you'll dream beyond whatever you want in life.
Absolutely love that. It's the so-called obstacles. That's who make us who we are today. And it's a wonderful takeaway for us to think about, and some of our darkest times, what we think are the darkest times, that's what we need because our future success is waiting for us. We're not ready for the success. The success is ready for us, and we need to go through that. Perhaps seems like a dark time today, perhaps will be one of the brightest times because it made us who we are. It's some wonderful advice. And just before we wrap up, I know we said it's wrap up, but we've skirted around AI a few times. You mentioned it just right now. So artificial intelligence, what would you want us to know about AI? Where do you see it going? How's it changing your industry, or how is it not changing your industry? What are your thoughts about that?
We've utilized AI in our industry. We're embracing it. We're certainly using it in the communication of how we communicate effectively, or just some of our descriptions, some of our visuals that we're changing. We're using AI to make sure that everything looks to perfection. So from a visual point of view, everybody looks at something and we know that most people are visually interested in property or how it looks, where it is, adding in a sky, making sure that the house looks at its best. And of course, we've adapted a lot of those practices into what we do. So we're utilizing it. We are embracing it. We'll continue to use it. And of course, I think it's just beyond genius. So when you actually plug into it and you try it out a few times, it's amazing what you can get out of it. I've seen agents in our office here who don't necessarily speak English embrace AI, and all of a sudden they sound really, really good at how they're communicating with people. So I just think it's a game changer. It's good for all of us, and it can add a lot of knowledge. And as long as you embrace it and utilize it the right way, I think it's going to make us all grow.
And Deep Health Nation, again, did you listen to that? Because AI, it today is bringing such a controversial response. For some, it's all doom and gloom, but we talked about mindset and we talked about culture. And here we had Jerry just say, hey, it's a powerful tool when you use it in the right way. Be open to it, try it, see what you can do, leverage it. And here's some success stories that we've had. What a difference with that. And so all that said, before it's an official wrap, a listener, they have a question for you. Mr. Success, that's you, Jerry. They want to learn more about that. Or in luxury real estate, or they want to work with you and the team. Where would be the best place online to reach you?
So hammondinternationalproperties.com is our website for our corporate website. And embedded in that website is a Jerry Hammond Leadership. So you can email me through the jerryhammondleadership.com. We've got an Instagram, we've got LinkedIn. You can connect on all different levels. We've got our YouTube channel. You can watch what we do, how we do things, what we're doing in terms of our marketing and anything that we're putting out there. So I invite you all to actually come and have a look at what we're up to because it's different. It is a game changer. And we've changed the business model of real estate in general. So we're proud to say that.
And Deep Wealth Nation, it doesn't get any easier. Go to the show notes. We have that there for you. It's a point and click. Hey, take Jerry up on his offer. Check out what he's doing on the leadership side. Strike up a conversation with him. You'll come out of it a whole lot better than when you came into it. That said, Jerry, it's official. Congratulations. It's a wrap. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribes, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.